Do you sometimes wonder what it's gonna be like if you were born into royalty? What it would be like to be part of the royal family, even for a day, to be waited upon and admired, and have so much influence and power for just one day? What would you do if you were royalty? If there was a switch that you just discovered that you could be royal for a day, what would you like to use that power and influence for? What's gonna be different about your life? What would change about your life right now? I'm gonna give you a minute to think about that. Now, you see, this is very important because how you understand yourself and see yourself guides everything you do in this life. The Bible puts it this way in Proverbs 23 verse 7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. How do you think of yourself? Do you think of yourself as disadvantaged? Do you think of yourself as problematic? Do you think of yourself as less than others, or do you think of yourself as who God has really said that you are? You may not be royalty physically. You may not have been born into a royal earthly home. But even greater, you have been adopted into a spiritual royal family. A kingdom that covers the entire earth and is greater than it. You are the king's king. You are not just royalty. You are kings and queens. Your father's kingdom is greater than anything you can imagine. This is what the Bible tells us of what he did. It says that he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of his beloved Son. Colossians chapter 1 verse 13. Not only did he transfer us into his kingdom, he changed our status. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 9 says, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, who once were not a people, but are now the people of God, who had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. You are royalty. You are the King of the Most High. When he says he's the King of Kings, it's because he knew that he was raising kings and queens over whom he would rule. Do you understand what it means to be royalty in God's kingdom? Do you understand what it means to be a king and a priest? The first thing you have to understand is that you are not the problem. You are the solution to the problem. I don't know what you may have believed up until this moment. Perhaps you believe that you are the one always in need of help. But I've come to tell you that that is simply not true. You see, you've got to understand that you are the one with the solutions. Rise up, king. Rise up, queen. This is why the Bible tells you that you are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. Your presence is important to what God does upon the earth. You are a leader. You are someone with influence. You may have been living less than that all this time, but no more. It's time to arise. Arise to the reality of who you are. Shake off those limiting beliefs. Shake off those limiting circumstances. You are greater than that. You are bigger than what people have said you are up until now. They may have said you were a failure, but what they did not know is that you were royalty. It's time to start living like the king and the queen that you are. It's time to stop settling for less than your inheritance. The earth is the Lord's and its fullness thereof. Whatever you desire of the earth can be yours. God said to Abraham, lift up your eyes and see. As far as you can see, I will give you. It's the same question that God is asking you today. What do you see? Do you see those issues dealt with? Do you see yourself getting through that challenge and difficulty? Do you see yourself rising and gaining the influence to speak for God? Do you see yourself using your influence at whatever level to work out the will of God? This is what God sees when he looks at you. He sees a leader. He sees not someone who is in need of help, but someone he can commit the helping of others to. He sees someone who has learned to walk through the challenges and to come out victorious because they know that they have overcome all things because the King of Kings lives in them. 1 John chapter 5 verse 4 says, Because everyone born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. He sees someone who has learned to walk with confidence in who He has made them. You are not weak, child of God. You are not powerless. You don't need to be born into a royal family. You are already royalty. You are not helpless. You've got the whole backing of the kingdom of God if you will rise and begin to take advantage of it. You are not without resources. You are exceedingly and abundantly blessed. Forget about what you can see with your physical eyes and let the eyes of your understanding be opened. Not only are you blessed, you have everything you need right now. It may not look like it, but it's true. Everything you need to rule in this life, everything you need to dominate, every field of life where God has called you to, everything you need to prosper and increase, everything you need to increase your influence, you already have them. You may need to take time to figure out how it works. It may take some time to manifest. You may have had to do some things to put them to work, but the blessing is already on your life. God has equipped you with all you need to be the king and the queen you are. You are royalty for the kingdom. You are His representative upon the earth. Just like an ambassador is a representative of his country in a foreign country, God has called you to represent His kingdom. This is why you must be careful that you represent Him very well. What do people see when they look at you? How do they feel after they've been with you? Can God depend on you to fix things when they are not right? Do you keep silent when you see things are not how they should be? Or do you take action like the royalty that you are? Are you an intercessor? Do you know how to call down God's will upon the earth? Jesus understood this. That was why He said, when you pray, make sure to pray that God's will should be done. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Matthew chapter 6 verse 10. Make sure that your king is well presented, whether it's in your actions or in your intercessions. You may not have been born into an earthly royal family, but you must definitely have been born into an even greater royal family that is greater than all of the earthly ones. Arise, child of God. Arise to the queen and the king that you've been called to be, and take the place of authority and responsibility that God has prepared for you. God bless you.